There we go.
You good?
Right, guys, welcome to whatever fucking number of Drop the Clutch we are at. I'm joined by good man Dylan as guest, as co-host. I'm joined by a super special guest today. The guy's probably got more steel in him than a 25-foot scaffold. Welcome to the show, Stefan Nielsen.
Hello.
First of all, Steph, I've got to ask you because I understand you had a bit of an off at Plymouth. I've got to ask, how are you feeling?
I've felt better in truth, but I am still, well, I say one piece. I'm not in one piece, but I'm still here. So yeah, I have a broken foot. So it's the second base of the metatarsal. So I think that's the second toe, and then near the base end, which is towards the ankle, not towards the toes. So yeah, I'm having fun wobbling around, trying to yeah, just move about a little bit. But yeah, that's me.
But to be fair, though, Steph, so far, obviously, you've had hell of a career. I mean, I think, to be fair, I was there at your first UK meeting, but you know, you and the boys at Scuddy Saints back in the day just scored a blitz in the league in your first year. That were good times.
Yeah, you certainly were. Yeah, Steve Worrell, Richie Worrell, Ashley Burks, Greg Blair, Lee Smethers. Yeah, it was a good time, and yeah, really good to get into it there. And I am pretty sure you was there at my first meeting. Even then, your name was mentioned.
That doesn't surprise me. But following on though from that first season with Scunny, I think, did you not do it back-to-back years with Mildenhall as well?
Yeah, and I can bring in even a more impressive stat as well. We won the league with Scunthorpe against Mildenhall by 1 point in the playoff final. And then the following year, I moved to Mildenhall, and we won the league in the playoff final by 1 point over Cradley. So it was a pretty impressive start to my career over here. Nearly as good as Nick Morris's. I think that's like he won 4 in like the first 4 years or something. But yeah, I'm quite happy with it anyway.
You're now sat on the side. I was just going to say, you now sat on the sidelines for the third season in a row. Like, what needs to? Because from none of the crashes really you've had this season have been your fault. Like the one at Red Cart, you got wiped out. The one at Plymouth, the track caught you out. Like what? You just walked under a ladder or something?
Yeah, it's not been well, this season in particular I felt really unlucky. The last few crashes, I think they were quite 50-50, and referee decisions obviously gone against me, and I've obviously hit the deck and hurt myself, and I think it's just a combination of a few spills and that which kind of led to this last one where I did some real damage. But yeah, it's just one of those things in this sport, isn't it? We can't do too much about it. We obviously have good times as well. This is just a rough patch for me, and yeah, hopefully we can turn things around when I get back racing again.
You're going to be a Premier League champion with Scunny in 2034 because Rob Godfrey told me.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that then.
But he has said many things, but apparently you are in the plans for next year.
Oh, that's news
You've
to
got to
me.
get him off Birmingham first.
Well,
Yeah.
we say that there's about 2,500 other riders also in the plans, but I thought I'd mention that you were in the plans anyway.
Yeah, thanks. I'm really pleased to be one of 2,500 people.
At least you're in the plans. We've had a couple of questions actually come in from Birmingham fans, and actually one from one of your new sponsors, Fina. She asked who your Speedway what your favourite memory is of Speedway, and your dream four-rider race to go you and three other riders.
Speedway memories. I just kind of, obviously my hero is Jason Crump. Always has
Which
been.
explains the bright colours.
Yes. Yeah, I think when I was a mascot at Kings Lynn, I was like 4 years old when I first started, and he was riding for Kings Lynn at one stage. And I remember talking to him in the pits, and he was so kind at the end of the year to give me his Silver Machine bike covers, which were, well, yeah, really cool thing for me. And so yeah, I've followed his career basically, watched every GP that, and the years where I think he finished third, he finished second, 3 years on the bounce, like so close to getting world title after world title. But so yeah, that was my fondest memories, I suppose. Tried to emulate him ever since. Never got there, but we go again. As for the four rider race, I think I got asked this when I signed for Pool a few years ago, and then I think I said Darcy Ward, Jason Crump, obviously, and Mark Loram. Now I've obviously done a couple of races with with Darcy and with Jason as well. I'm so glad he came out of retirement to do a couple of years over here, which was really cool. So I had tapes to finish against Crumpy, which was cool. So yeah, I can't change those three riders now, can I? They were my three there, and then I'm going to stick to them. It was really cool to be able to do that.
I've got an STS question actually. You'll understand this probably more than Dan and Ruth will, but it's from Potts. And he asked, how did it feel when Ads beat you on a dark night at Middlesbrough to ruin your 11-point average?
Yeah, that was not good times, not at all. He well and truly dive bombed me like Chris Harris there, and took me straight into the fence. Obviously, Chris didn't do that, but yeah, no, that was a one-way ticket to the fence. That one. Cheers, Ads.
And is it important for you, like you're as competitive on STS as you are in real life? Is that just who you are? You're just a competitive. You want to be the best at everything you do.
Yeah, it's certainly in my nature, in my blood. Always want to be the best. I am realizing though that I can't always be the best. But life lesson, I guess. But yeah, I do always try, always put my all into it. If I'm doing something, I'm committed.
You signed for Birmingham as an asset this season, and I know a lot of fans like that, and you were quite happy about that. Like, what was your initial thoughts when you were told Birmingham were purchasing your contract?
Obviously super delighted. I think one of the key aspects for me is to feel wanted, feel like a connection. Like yeah, it's just really good to feel like you've got the backing behind you, and they've got like real confidence in you. That really transpires over into me and helps me believe in myself. I'm not the most of confident guys naturally, so I really appreciate that extra support and that kind of love that's there. So yeah, it was a really good thing for me, and obviously delighted to say yes and to be able to represent their colours, and yeah, hopefully I can score a few more points than I have been.
And to be fair, you mentioned obviously you signed as a Birmingham asset. For you as a rider, does that like make you feel more safer in terms of job security than in the coming seasons?
That's a tricky question, that one, Dan. Cheers for that. I feel like yes and no is the answer to that. I think as the years have gone on, I've realised that we are just the number to the clubs. Like average wise, if we don't fit, we can quite easily get moved on or not have a team spot there anymore. So it's become a lot more challenging in that sense. But yeah, as for Birmingham, obviously I've just broken my foot and I haven't been scoring particularly well at the start of the year. Not to the standards that I set myself anyway. So yeah, I be honest, I had these conversations with myself and my family and those around me that if I do, or if Birmingham do decide to bring someone else in, what does that then, where does it leave me? Don't have any other team spots to fall back on or to go to as of yet anyway. So yeah, it would leave me in a bit of a pickle, that's for sure.
We spoke about this personally the other day, but just touching on it, a couple of people have said maybe the National League would help you. What would your thoughts be on possibly and what like doing that, and what would be your local National League track if you did look at that?
Well, I have spoken to a few National League clubs in the last couple of years, but it's just never kind of like worked out. But yeah, you got to go where you got to go. If there's no championship team that wants me, obviously I have to go back to the National League, prove myself, and then come back stronger. But yeah, at the moment I'm still fully committed to Birmingham, and we'll assess things if things change.
And this time coming back from the injury, I know when you finished in July last year, you never really touched your bike until the Brum practice day. When you're coming back this time, will there be a thought of going to a track day or anything like that to get some laps in, or trying to get back to Birmingham for some laps after a meeting or something just to test yourself, or will it just be back into the team if they don't make a signing between now and then?
I wouldn't feel any like worry or anything about jumping straight back on the bike now. It's I did quite a few meetings at the start of the year and obviously felt like I was feeling pretty good on the bike. Felt comfortable, probably more comfortable than I have been in previous years. I kind of picked it up pretty quickly again, I thought. Just lacking the speed and the setups to go with it. But yeah, personally on the bike I felt okay. I'll probably have to test it out somewhere. Not sure where that would be, but at least have one go on the bike to make sure I'm fit before I commit to a full meeting. But yeah, there shouldn't be any problems in doing that or figuring that out.
Dan's thinking, you can see it in his face. So there's something.
Have you not got any?
Today.
Yeah, don't get used to it. It's not a pretty sight.
See, I think that we're the bad luck child because since we all met,
I don't think
you've
there's
crashed
anything.
twice.
Oh, this is new. Not used to Dan being speechless.
Well, what can I say? It's all you, Ruth. It's your fault.
It's always my fault.
But as obviously Dilla's just mentioned, obviously we saw you guys. Well, you guys in the Brum team, obviously in the pub in Scunny, and James Pearson, I have to say, was just a pure and utter vibe. Is that what he's like in the pits as well, or is that just a show for the people in the pub?
It was not a show for the people in the pub. Yeah, James is very much a character. I picked him up from the airport a few times and had some like quite close conversations with him, and yeah, about his career and the way things are going. And yeah, no, he's just a young, bright lad with huge potential, and yeah, really wants to get far in the sport. And yeah, I wish him all the best to get there as well. Nice lad.
We saw an interview with you at the start of the season, and you said there was something a little bit missing from the Birmingham team. That just hadn't quite gelled at that point. Do you think the management are doing everything they can to make that happen? Like the hotel in Scunny before Red Car and having the team down in Birmingham the other night as well before them. Is that kind of Like, are they doing what they can to get everyone to gel? 'Cause it's like the second season in a row Birmingham have been hit with like guests on and off. Like, you can't get the full 1 to 7 at the minute. Do you think there's anything else that the management could do to get everyone to just get, like, eat that stride where they're all going to the same place at the same time?
I think they're doing a really good job. It's really difficult these days. Everyone's got their own lives, got their own things going on, and yeah, between meetings, it's quite difficult. But yeah, the trip that you mentioned there, we went to the pub afterwards. We had a meal, and yeah, just like got chatting with each other, and the promotion and everything is. I feel like it's pretty open in Birmingham between the promotion, the riders, the fans. They like the fans know things before I do, so it's yeah, it's good. They're doing what they can, and us as riders, we obviously got to take a bit of time out of our schedules as well to try and fit in some team bonding. But yeah, we're trying to make it work. Obviously, the results haven't really shown that yet, and I think sometimes in the pits it can be a bit quiet. I think, but it's very different. Like, if you're in a winning team, it's so much easier because you're doing well, you're confident, you feel more at ease that you can go to other riders and try and share some of your like experience and some of the maybe setup knowledge and stuff. But I find that if you're not scoring very many points, they're probably not going to listen to you anyway. So it can be quite tricky at times. But I think, yeah, the Birmingham promotion are doing the best that they can, and yeah, I really feel like it's just a matter of time before Birmingham turn the corner.
How important is family for you? Obviously, Becky comes to most meetings with you, and your mum's there, and your dad comes over from time to time. How important is it having your family there to kind of, you know, be around the meeting? And like, obviously, a lot of riders' mums, it's difficult for them to watch, especially yours, it seems, because you're always on the track. And then Becky's there, so I'll message her to see how you are. How is it having that kind of thing there, so you can just focus on racing your bike and doing your bit, and having that support if it's a crap drive home for 4 hours?
Obviously, that is super important. It was one of the things I wanted to touch upon tonight, to be honest. Just how important family has been for me throughout my entire career. Like when I first started out, I got a bike when I was 4 years old, and it was all because my mum and dad had travelled the country, travelled the world, in fact, and did a few Grand Prix, like world finals in Sweden and like obviously Denmark, England, and Poland. So yeah, they went all over, and just true fanatics of the sport. And I kind of yeah got that opportunity from there. And ever since, it's kind of been a family thing. My mum and brother went to a lot of my meetings early on. My brother was kind of like my driver when I first started out. Obviously, 15 years old over here, didn't have a driving license, couldn't drive, so needed that, and mechanics as well over that period of time were really important. And obviously now it's a bit different. I've been with my girlfriend now for like nearly 11 years, Becky, so she helps with some of the bike cleaning as well, which you don't see behind the scenes. And my mum's very good at getting all the food organized, salads for my trips down there and or up down there to the meetings. And yeah, my brother's obviously, things change over 10 years. So sometimes he's been a bit more involved. Now he's taken a bit more of a step back. He's got other commitments with his work and stuff. So doesn't always work out just like that. But funnily enough, he did manage to go to Plymouth, which he hasn't been to too many meetings this year, but I needed him for the drive home. So it was quite lucky coincidence in that way. But yeah, family is super important, and I'm really pleased that you brought it up because yeah, I don't know where I'd be without the support and the help from them over the years. And following on from that, I can also just quickly mention the sponsors. I know there's been a couple of new ones on board this year, and all the ones that have followed me throughout the last many years. They've all been super important and crucial to help me to get to where I am today. And I don't think there's any words that I could say that can thank them enough for that. So yeah, thank you. That's the best I got.
Just following on from that, we've started working together a bit more with your social media, which means any negativity or stuff I can kind of filter out for you. You see your positive messages. Does what a lot of riders say, one negative will wipe out all the positives. Is that the case with you? Although I do try and filter as many negative ones as I can out.
You might try and filter them out, but I've got some other mates that take screenshots and send them to me anyway. So it doesn't matter what you try. But yeah, no, obviously being a professional sportsman, there is always going to be positives and negatives, especially comments from fans looking from the outside. It's not something I take to heart too much. I know some riders will probably it'll probably affect them more than it does me. But yeah, I just very open-minded like that. I think everyone's got or everyone's entitled to an opinion, and if they want to express that opinion or say that on my page or whatever, that's up to them. That's down to them. That's fine with me. Obviously, I think as most riders do, I think if I have a good meeting, I tend to have a look at the updates a little bit more, see what's been written about me, and if I have a dreadful night, then I'll stay well clear of it, because I know there will be those negative comments that, well, some of them can hurt. Sometimes it's yeah, it can just hit a nerve. So try to stay away from it a little bit. But it's one of those things that comes with the sport. Again, you can't change it. It's part and parcel of life now. Social media, it's really big for everyone. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Can't change it. Just live with it and deal with it as best as I can, and try not to let it affect me.
And obviously, you mentioned social media and the effect it has. What a lot of people on social media don't actually know is what goes on like behind the scenes. So for those that maybe don't know, what is a day in the life behind the scenes, so to speak, is it like for yourself?
Good question. Obviously, depending on the time of the year and like the day, but a speedway meeting for me, say we have Birmingham on the Wednesday, just typically starts with a relaxing morning. I tend to not have anything going on in the morning before I go, and just relax, really spend a little bit of time with the family in the morning, and then gear ourselves up for the journey. We bring a lunch pack up for myself, so I got my salad for the journey there, got maybe a sandwich for the journey home. And yeah, some Wednesday mornings, I have been picked up little P. Well, I'm not allowed to say that anymore, am I? James Pearson. He's now like 18, turned 18 the other day. So yeah, no, pick him up in the morning. It can be quite an early morning then, which I find a little bit stressful, because it kind of I can't get back to sleep after I've got up. So if I wake up at 5:30, 6 o'clock to go and get him, then that's me for the day. And as you know from Speedway, we don't start till 7:30 in the evening, so it's a late night on the journey home, and we have a a 3-hour journey home. So we get home like, I don't know, 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. And if you've been up at 6 o'clock, it's a long day. But no, it's not too like hectic or too busy. I try and do all my other stuff on like a non-speedway day. So all the preparation and stuff is done the day before. I don't even load up the bikes on that day. It's already done from the night before. So yeah, just chilling.
We got a question actually from Andy Dugmore, and he says that you and his son Leo are quite, you speak to him when you can, and he'll come over. He asked what advice you'd give for getting, the next steps into Speedway for a youngster, just so he knows what he can buy Leo next.
That's a good question. I do take a lot of pride in like speaking to the youngsters and trying to like, I don't know, just yeah, follow them a little bit and like be a nice guy, if you know what I mean. Just and he's a lovely little lad. He doesn't say a lot, you know, they're a quiet little boy and just going around on his bike, having fun, enjoying things, which is the most important thing. You can often forget that the reason I started speedway all them years ago was because it was fun and it was enjoyable and it was something that not a lot of young kids have the opportunity to do. And yeah, I've got to thank my father again and mother as well. But the money that they put into it, it's really expensive. It's an expensive sport to get into. So for Andy as well, I know it's not going to be easy. It is expensive, but in terms of what he can do next, I think he's doing all the right things at the moment. He's got a little push bike that he's racing around on. He's got a little motorbike as well, I believe, which he gets to have a little skid on at Birmingham. So yeah, he's just doing all the right things and just let it happen and yeah, let him enjoy himself while he can.
Obviously, now we touch upon the youth thing. How is like the opportunities now for youth now compared to how it was when you first started over here as a British rider?
It's become a lot more professional, I would say. When I first started out, the only like opportunities you could have to ride your bike really was after a meeting in a second half somewhere or something like that, which is not a lot. And yeah, interestingly, my career, I moved to Denmark to ride 80 cc's to get competitive racing action as a youngster. So, but it's yeah, I was mascot for Kings Lynn for 7 years, but I'd do 4 laps before the meeting and 4 laps after the meeting on my own. As cool as that is, and it was really like fun to do, especially at that age, and be able to tell all your schoolmates about that when you went to school the next day and that. But it's competitive wise, it doesn't really teach you that much. So I do think because England doesn't, most of the tracks aren't owned by like yourself there with Scunthorpe. Rod Godfrey actually owns his stadium. He can get on it whenever he likes, but a lot of the other clubs don't have that opportunity, so they can only have it on certain days or certain times, and it can be a lot trickier to get racing in that way. So I think the opportunities have got a lot better now. We have like youth championships. We have a youth setup where a lot of the younger riders now they go on training camps. They have a training session at the start of the year, I believe, and like just like general fitness tips as well from above, and like helping the youngsters get into the right routines and not being led astray and maybe drinking every weekend or whatever. It kind of like takes away from the professionalism of the sport and where we've got to.
You touched on earlier about confidence growing and growing. When Scunny were at Perry Bar the other week, you were the only one that came close to beating Ryan Douglas. It was on someone else's bike, which people will say, but had it not been for you lifting, you'd have probably beat him. Does that, how much confidence does that instill in you? Because nobody else came even close to him and you led him for 3.5 laps.
Yeah, it's an important one. I really enjoyed that race. Well, maybe not on the bike because it was a bit hairy, scary. Wasn't my smoothest 4 laps I've ever done. But yeah, that's kind of like the way you got to set up the bike. You gotta make it go fast, otherwise you're just going to be trailing behind. So it was a good race, fun to be part of. Obviously, as he put the pressure on, and I was riding the skin off my teeth, and yeah, just didn't have enough to get the job done there. But yeah, I take a lot of confidence from that. It was a race that I've probably watched back the most out of all the ones I've had so far this year. And yeah, that's because it gives me a feel good factor. And obviously, I feel like I'm quite close to being able to produce that every race. But yeah, consistency is that hard part at the moment. But we're working on it. And yeah, hopefully, I can have a lot more races like that towards the end of the season.
You were at Birmingham last year, and over the winter they've pretty much completely changed the track. How different is it now compared to what it was last year? Because more often than not, you were winning heat ones last year, and you were in double figures a few times as well. How different is it this year with what they've done, and what could be done to improve it? Like, I know Nigel said he's put in some more clay in it to offer a second line. What else could be done to improve it from a riding perspective?
Honestly, I don't think there is a lot more that can be done. Like from a rider's perspective, the track is now, like, honestly, is one of the best in the country. It's so smooth that if you compare it to last year, I watched. They did the live stream for the first meeting, and they showed a race in the interval from the year before, and just looking at that compared to the racing that was on that night, it was like, oh my god, the difference was incredible. So they really have smoothed out the track. Obviously, I know that from riding it anyway, but it was visibly noticeable, and yeah, just huge amounts of work that have been put into it, and it's made the track really, really nice to ride. And yeah, probably helps the away team as well, though, unfortunately, as it's easier to ride. People enjoy going there, and they don't need to know where every bump is because there isn't any. Whereas before we had a little bit of an advantage. We could maybe preempt a few bumps, a few holes because we raced it week in, week out, where the away team didn't. So maybe that's had a little bit of a negative impact on our home performances. And obviously, I think my setup is pretty different to what it was last year because of the way the track is now reacting, and you can be a little bit more aggressive on the bike setup because it is that bit smoother as well. So kind of goes hand in hand in that way. But yeah, just a great track to ride now. And I know Nigel's saying they've put some more clay in it because it has been like pretty slick and pretty easy to ride. And I think we have quite a few riders that like the dirt in our team. So, but yeah, it's just one of those. All year last year, I felt like they was adding a little bit more clay, adding a little bit more clay, and then throughout the winter they've done the same. And it just feels a little bit like sometimes you can never have the consistency. The track's never going to be the same because they keep doing little bits to improve it here and there. But, no, it's going in the right direction for sure. So we'll just see how it pans out.
And you mentioned the tracks actually, because I've seen a lot of comments online saying like the slicker tracks now supports the bikes more. What would sort of you say? Would you like agree with that, or would you say tracks with actual dirt, so anywhere but scunny, help the bikes more?
I do agree. The way the bikes have changed over the last couple of years, the silencer and yeah, maybe the rev limiter on some of the bikes as well. It's made it harder to have enough power to handle the dirt line, and you've seen a lot more like bigger accidents where the bike's kind of taken off from underneath some, especially for the less experienced riders as well. Perhaps it can be quite scary at times. So yeah, I agree with that statement that the slicker tracks suits our bikes more, but you still have like the more experienced riders in the top flight and that like a little bit of dirt. It's yeah, it's still.
We've had a couple of questions coming actually about people wanting to buy your merchandise. Where can that be bought from? Obviously, it's not quite as promoted as it could be at the moment, but a lot of people do want to buy it. Where can they get that from?
I'm going to put you on the case there, Dylan. We have a link to GC Race Products who
Which is actually on your page as the website to your page.
yeah, see, you already got it under control. You already got it under control.
Would it cross your mind to get some at a club track shop? I know the Birmingham Speedway track shop had said that they'd be interested in selling it if we could arrange it. Do you think that's something you'd be interested in? Because I know a lot of the Speedway fans are possibly the older generation now, who probably don't know about ordering online or whatever. Do you think it'd be a good idea to have some at a track shop, a small run, to see how it's sold?
Yeah, I think it would. I haven't even made my way over to the Birmingham store yet, so I don't even know what is actually in there. But yeah, you're definitely right. I think the Speedway fan base is probably a little bit on the older generation. So it makes perfect sense what you're saying there, and yeah, definitely something we need to look into in the next couple of weeks. While I got a little bit of time off, eh?
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll
no,
sort
I'm
that
gonna
out.
have to part with some money now. Get myself a hat. No, you've said that.
The irony, actually, every week we've done one of these. More often than not, I've had a Stefan Nielsen racing shirt on, and this week I cannot find it for love nor money. I think Nat's probably thrown it in the bin or something.
No, she wouldn't do that. She likes me.
Has she learnt to talk to people yet?
No. I spoke to your mum actually the other week, and she said about how she gives out photos of you for the youngsters, and they can come up and get it autographed. So we've come up with an idea for autograph cards and stuff. Like you've touched on the kids and trying to be approachable to them. Is that your way of trying to do your bit to kind of try and encourage the next generation to come through, both as riders and as fans?
Yeah, absolutely. My mum's always been quite heavily involved in that side of things. So yeah, we've done that many years where we've had like photo cards, and if there's any kids that come up to us in the vans after the meeting or whatever, I know it's a little bit tricky at Birmingham because we're kind of in a secluded area with our vans, but at the other tracks that I've raced for, like Poole and Sheffield, and like there's been a lot of kids come up to me in the back of the van, and that sounds a bit dodgy. Sorry. Yeah, when I'm loading up the bikes, there'll be kids that want pictures, and yeah, so having an autograph card already set there, ready to just hand over to them, and maybe a key ring as well. I think we did a key ring a couple of years ago, and just little things like that makes it like a huge difference for the child, and yeah, hopefully they go home and talk to their parents about it, maybe take it into school, all that kind of thing. Just yeah, always trying to do my bit for the youngsters.
I must admit that was literally the thing that got me hooked. When I was 7, my dad, either my dad or my granddad, bought me a Jason Lyons key ring, and I took it to school every day, and I wouldn't shut up about it.
No, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. That's kind of what I'm hoping to do as well.
But you mentioned, to be fair, a couple of points about that. A lot of the fan base of Speedway now is quite like the older generation. Is there any sort of like ideas that maybe you could think of to maybe promote it that bit better to get the younger generation in?
I think it's just really difficult now. Like the youngsters have so much more opportunities than what we did when we was younger, and I'm not like particularly old, I don't think, but even from my time, like the internet side of things, and yeah, iPhones, phones, tablets, like there's just so many other things that kids can get into these days than going to Speedway and kind of getting bit from it there. So yeah, no, it's a really difficult question, and I think it's something that like the top end of the Speedway guys are really struggling to find ways to do as well. So yeah, we've just got to, well, cross my fingers and hope they can find a way to get some more younger lads and lasses into the sport and really push it on.
I think I saw, I could be wrong here, I'm sure I saw Brock Nickel, I believe it was, wanting some like models to help with his marketing. Do you reckon, like, if that was to happen in Speedway, that could help a younger fan base come in?
Some models.
Yeah. I think he was on about the more like adult kind of models, but like if you saw let's say you saw a poster or something in town with Speedway, but you saw like some models on it as well, where you could like go and meet them, say I don't know, someone like really fit. You know, do you reckon that could enhance some more kids, teenagers to go?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
On a less weird note, last season you raced. I know you raced in France, and you were racing in some extremely warm temperatures. How did that kind of, what kind of toll did that have on you physically, and how did it help you as well, being that little bit more busy?
It's safe to say that I instantly regretted not getting any aircon in the van. That's pretty safe to say. Yeah, we had an afternoon meeting there in France, and it was 40 degrees. I think maybe even reached 42 in the peak time, and it was just super hot. Between races, obviously sipping down the Kevlars, just having wet towels just thrown over you, and you just dry up instantly. But it was a long day, that one. And even late at night it was still like 32 degrees, so it's just there was no respite. It was a difficult, hard weekend, and I certainly got my body through the paces there. But the experience though that I got from riding a new track, being involved in the club there, it was really good. I enjoyed that experience for sure. Even scored like double figures, I think, which doesn't happen very often for me. But so it was definitely one that I enjoyed, and would definitely do that one again.
And did that stand you in good stead for the 30 odd degree temperatures we had over here? Because you'd already raced in warmer conditions out there, you kind of knew that your body could handle it and how to prepare yourself for that.
Yeah, I actually remember I did a meeting, I think it was about a week after, at Oxford, where it was, like you say, about 30 degrees. And I was a lot more prepared for that one. We had ice buckets. I think the club actually provided them at Oxford, which was really nice of them, but just buckets full of really cold water and with bottles of water inside it. So there was plenty of opportunities to keep hydrated, and that, which is really important. And just some other few little bits and bobs that I picked up at that time to keep my keep myself as cool as possible before putting the helmet on and as ready to go for action.
You touched on before about the Birmingham promotion and how they are. From what I understand, Lawrence has played a big part in your career even before you joined Birmingham. Was that the thoughts behind you joining there last season and this season? Like Lawrence is an influence in your career?
Lawrence has definitely been around for many years, especially where I've been involved. I think probably half of the teams that I've rode for, he's been the one that's actually got me in. Even when I was a mascot at Kings Lynn, when I first started out, I was 4 years old. He was the guy that got me in there, to be able to have that opportunity to do that. And then obviously I went to Coventry Storm in the National League, where he was also involved then, and now Birmingham as well. So we do seem to have followed each other around quite a bit, and definitely great guy to be involved with. Always does what he can to help. I even had him on the spanners before, would you believe? So he's been changing tires for me, and you don't see that happen very often now. But obviously really pleased to have met him, and through Speedway, and we'll obviously stay in contact. And just yeah, nice guy.
We touched on STS. We're in a big STS group chat. There's a lot of banter in there. But there's also, do you feel the support from that chat when you're racing, and when if you've had a good meeting, the support for that, and if you had a bad one, the pick up, and obviously you pick up a couple of sponsors through STS as well. And there's the meetups for Cardiff, and that is that close knit group of people who all met through the speedway game. Quite important to just to have a group of mates all around, kind of love the sport around a similar kind of age range. Mm-hmm. Is that important for you to feel that kind of bond with everyone on STS?
Yeah, it is. Obviously, as a kid, my brother got me into STS when I first started out. He was doing it. He started in season 1. I think I started in season 3. But yeah, like it was a time where I was living in Denmark, but kind of transitioning my move to England to race in the elite, well, not the elite league, but Premier League at the time, and the National League. So it was an interesting time, but the Speedway and the STS was really helpful in the sense that there would be a lot of support from like the fans, and I don't know, I was a bit overwhelmed by it all, really. There was I met lots of really good people through that, including yourself, Dylan. It was a good time, and yeah, I definitely believe it was important, and I can't thank them enough. I've got a few sponsors as well through there, which are with me today. So yeah, it's just really close knit group, and I've been doing STS for it's about 12 years now. So something I enjoy doing, and yes, trying to become a professional STS rider next.
And STS seems to follow the kind of path of your career. Up until last season, you'd never stayed with the same team twice, 2 consecutive seasons, and you did with the Cowboys, and it's kind of similar with Birmingham. Is it a good job that you can't get injured on STS, otherwise you might be missing a few of them as well?
Definitely. I would say I probably spent more time on STS when I was injured. I spent weeks and weeks on it when I broke my leg, for example, a few years ago. So it's just like, it also kind of keeps me sharp in a way. We obviously have the tapes go up on STS, and I know it's not the same. You press a button instead of letting go of the clutch, but in many ways it still feels like you're making those similar sort of decisions. Do you go wide? Do you keep it tight? Do you try and look for a pass at that moment, or do you wait another corner? There's so many things that you can kind of use in your speedway career, just by playing STS, and it's something I've enjoyed doing. Obviously, just really do like the game a lot.
And what tips can you give to someone like Dan, who's played it and couldn't stay out the grass very much?
Well, some people, they just either have it or they don't have it. Dan, you don't have it, mate.
I've just not got it.
Ooh, burn!
Hey, he's not wrong. It's not wrong. I'm fucking hopeless.
No, like I said though, there's I've been doing it many years. I started when I was like 7 or 8, and I've been doing it on and off for 20 years. So I definitely think that you can just get better at it with it, like experience, and the more time you spend on it. And there was nothing that I wanted to do more than play video games and play speedway games, and fortunately this was an online version where I think normally obviously I played all the FIM Speedway Grand Prix. There was a Polish game as well. I think it was a Polish league game. But yeah, different kind of games that like you couldn't really play online. You just had to play them offline against the AIs. Whereas this one felt real. You go into the servers, you get called up for 2 minutes. You go into the server, you got to put the right helmet color on. It feels quite real. So yeah, it's just something that I enjoy.
And lastly, before we let you go back to your evening, what is the plan now with the injury? Obviously, find out how long you're going to be out for. What's the plan then? Just rehab, get whatever treatment you need, and then try and get back on the bike as soon as you can. Like, there's been no thoughts of kind of calling it a day for this season and starting again, or is it quite lucky this injury's happened early on and the way you landed on your back, it could have been worse? Is it like it's a knock, but it's something that you can build upon going forward to come back for the rest of this season?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's not on my mind to like give up this year. Obviously, it happened a lot earlier this year than what it has done in the last couple of years. So yeah, it's just one of those things. It feels a bit weird, to be honest. I've broken a lot of bones in my time, and I mean a lot of different bones in my time, but I've never broken my foot. So this was a bit of a new one for me, and it feels weird because I'm probably shouldn't be, but I'm kind of already light weight bearing. So like walking around the house, yeah, I'm limping. Of course, I'm limping and I'm slow, but I'm still trying to do bits with it, if that makes sense. I thought, well, when I've broken my leg or I've broken like some other things, like it really feels like you're out of action. Like there's nothing you can do. But here, I don't know if I've just been really lucky with the bone that I've broke or the way that it's fractured, or yeah, I can't really tell. But it just feels like it's not as bad as what normal breaks are. So fingers crossed that also means the recovery will be a bit shorter and we can really focus on getting back and having a good stint in the second half of the season. So yeah, it's just one of those things.
I'm all out of questions.
You're not the only one.
Should we wrap it up then and let Steph get back to his role?
I can tell you from experience, Stefan, that me and my sister are hoping you get back on the bike soon.
Thank you very much. I intend to be back as soon as physically possible. Obviously,
It's
at the minute,
definitely our favourite rider on the Brom team this year.
that's so nice to hear. Very nice to hear. I'm doing the best that I can. I have an appointment with the fracture clinic Thursday morning, where they're going to assess things and see what sort of like schedule we're looking at to get back on the bike. Just see how bad it is. Obviously, the information that I have that it was broke, we had the X-ray in Plymouth, and they've transferred all the details over here. But getting an appointment and stuff is quite tricky. So they phoned me up Monday, told me I've got an appointment Thursday. So hopefully we'll know a lot more then, and see how long it will be before I can get back on the bike.
Dan, do you want to outro it?
Yeah. So again, a massive, massive shout out to Stefan for coming on. Thank you for giving up your time to join us Muppets. Again, we hope to see you back on a bike soon. June the 9th would be quite nice. But no, again, massive thank you for coming on. Dill, massive thank you for doing your job and being you. And
thanks.
For me, it's a very good night from Drop the Clutch.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Cheers, Steph. I know it's been a nightmare trying to get you to come on here.
Yeah, I'm not the most of social people, and